Nadia, you want to talk about it?
Talk about what?
Talk about what's bothering you. All this running around, 5 days, 9 guys.
That is none of your business.
Maybe not. But you can talk to me about it if you'd like.
Judy is just every girl. She's the girl you want to hang out with. She's compassionate. She's serious. Doesn't take herself too seriously, but very serious about herself and what she does. She's proud of her. She's very proud of her work, and I think she's proud of being part of this program. I think she does have a bigger picture in mind, and it's hard for her to befriend these kids and then sort of turn on them, so to speak. But she's a very compassionate, sympathetic person, and I think just the girl you want to be best friends with. I graduated from Sarah Lawrence College. I got a movie called Howard the Duck, which was a notorious flop, but just enough excitement to give me that idea of, I could make some money at this, and I could finance my demo tapes to be a singer, because that's what I really wanted to do. So I made this pact with myself. I gave myself 3 months in the summertime after I graduated to get a decent paying job, either on TV or a movie, to finance my demos. And if I didn't get that, then I was going to get my master's degree. Well, along came 21 Jump Street. I went out for this part. I remember the 2 other girls that were there. I thought were so much prettier than me, and they had cuter cars, and one of them was on Dynasty, and one of them was on, some other cool show, and I was just really green and hadn't done anything but Howard the Duck. So anyway, I remember pulling up to Fox right over on Pico, and I went inside, and I remember I was the one that had the Honda with no brakes. If you've ever had a car that doesn't have brakes, it makes that sound. That's what my Honda was doing. So I'm convinced to this day that after I left, that the producers, that Stephen Cannell and those guys looked out the window and said, we got to give it to the girl with the squeaky brakes. She needs this job more than anybody. I remember getting the part and getting that call and then not really thinking about focusing on the fact that meant that I had to relocate to Vancouver, British Columbia, which I didn't really know very much about. So that was sort of the next hurdle, like, okay, now I got the job, now I got to move. So it was a lot coming at a 21, 22-year-old, I think I was at the time. But the adventures were well worth it. Getting off the plane that first day and getting to Vancouver and just looking at this place, it was just, I was so wide-eyed, wide-eyed with big hair. I'm looking for some OG named Waxer.
Who's he?
Relax, dude, sprung.
Who is it? Some fresh-looking freak.
When we got there, we were one of the first series. I think Wise Guy was up there, and then maybe another series. But 21 Jump Street was to Vancouver what Miami Vice was to Miami. It was. We used to call ourselves Vancouver Vice because we filmed at every single school about 4 or 5 times all over the British Columbia area. We just penetrated every neighborhood. We were all over the place. And so everyone knew us, and they really felt very proud, the locals of the show. The scenery was just beautiful. The air was clean, a little something different from L.A. where I was coming from. So just all in all, it was just a fantastic experience. And again, here we were up here, and there were very few other productions. So we were sort of the pioneers of television, as far as television series go up there. The crew was the nicest crew ever. We always made fun of them, hey, cut A, and, hey, that's a wrap, A. And we used to make fun of them all the time, but they were just the coolest people.
Okay, so what happens now?
We book you for suspicion of conspiracy in the Belmont robberies. We've got a pretty good case. You'll probably be sent to a JD school.
I didn't have a whole lot of training. I had gone to Sarah Lawrence and I'd learned some acting technique. So a lot of this was on-the-job training up in Vancouver, I was very green. I really hadn't done a whole lot of work. So I try to rely on my natural ability and natural instincts for acting. What felt right, what felt real. So I think that translated well. That's what made Judy Hoffs seem like a real person, because I sort of did like this if I heard myself say something that sounded actory or phony. And then we had some amazing directors that really helped us, and me in particular. And they knew that I hadn't had a lot of training, that I was the only girl up there, and sort of on my own in a way. I was willing to be open to experiencing this job as an acting lesson. Jeff Yeager was the original Tom Hansen. And it was Jeff and myself and Peter and Stephen and Dustin. And we were the Jump Street crew. We got up there and we bonded immediately. You know, all of us were pretty green, and none of us had been to Vancouver. So we went out all the time. We hung out after work. We hung out in each other's dressing rooms. So we were immediately bonded. So we shot for 2 weeks together. And then some drama happened, and as it happens in Hollywood, Jeff got replaced, or they called to say Jeff was going to be replaced. Now that freaked us all out because we didn't know who was next, you know. And so the next thing I know, in comes this, guy named Johnny Depp. No clue who he was. And then he comes with this like torn up hat on, and that he still wears to this day, and these combat boots that he still wears to this day. And he was just this kind of bright-eyed guy, just very, very sweet, really sweet guy. He was very sensitive to the situation he was coming into. But we were all pros, and, it wasn't his fault, so we didn't hold anything against him. And as soon as he came in, just picked up where we left off. And we all bonded. I mean, the first season, we were extremely, extremely tight.
Hansen's gonna end up with a gold star on his first report card and get all the glory. Are we gonna let him get away with that?
Oh, I didn't know we got report cards, Doug.
I just enjoyed Peter, especially first season. He was another guy that just, he kept us laughing all the time. His whole family mantra is humor, humor, humor. Over the years, his family came on the show, and I love his mom, and of course his dad Dom was the best. And he's like, my Italian dad, and his mom was in Blazing Saddles. Isn't anybody going to help that poor man? When he said, "Excuse me while I whip this out," Peter and I quoted the entire script backwards and forwards to Blazing Saddles. So we bonded on that movie alone.
Yo, Jude. Hold on.
Hi. I'll catch you later, okay?
Hi.
What's up?
Listen, we got a date with Lauren for tomorrow night.
You still think she's a hooker?
Well, Dustin was my heart. I mean, he was just my best friend up there. A lot of times they would pair Johnny and Peter off, and they would do their thing, and Dustin and I would have similar storylines. But Dustin and I just were like bonded like brother and sister, and we'd have boyfriends and girlfriends, and they would all be jealous of me. They'd think him and I had something going. But that was the one thing that I knew, that my mom sent me off to the airport and said, whatever you do, no matter how cute these boys are, whatever you do, don't get romantically involved with any of them. And that was some good advice, because it just complicates things, It's just too much drama. So I never did, by the way, and there were never any rumors that I did, which pretty much underscores the fact that I didn't. Because if there had to be some rumors, there never were.
Now remember, you got to get close to Madigan and ID the gang members.
How are we supposed to do that?
You're undercover cops. You're supposed to have an imagination. But use your heads, because I'm sending you in armed.
Hey, Jenko never sent us into a school armed.
That was Jenko. And what I'm looking at here is a Frazier blood who wants to kill a principal.
Stephen Williams came in, and he was such a different energy that it wasn't like he was a replacement for Captain Jenko. Captain Fuller was just a whole different character, and I'm very fond of Stephen as well. He was sort of the glue up there, and I really enjoyed working with him. And to this day, if I walk into a room with him, we would fall right back into, 1987 all over again. The hardest part about working on the show were the hours. We worked really long hours, sometimes 15, 16. The weather got a little cold up there. So we worked really, really hard. I mean, we were young and, we could do it. I don't know that I could handle those hours now with 3 kids and all that. But, I mean, being young and, no ties and we weren't married and, tied down or anything, we could take it. But they were rough shoots. I mean, they were very rough shoots, and most of them were on location. We worked in the snow, we worked in the rain. It rained a lot up there. I'd have to say the hardest part were those long, long, long days and those early calls. I mean, early calls. And then, as the years progressed, being on location was tough because, most of us had lives in L.A. or homes or families or whatever. So it's just you're being out of the mix. But in hindsight, I think that being in Vancouver for 5 years for myself was a good thing. It kept me away from that sort of Hollywood scene, certainly the drug scene, the stuff about being on a hit show that sort of makes you a little cuckoo.
You're not going to Indiana, Reggie.
I love doing the action scenes. I love doing my own fight scenes and my own stunts. We were in Vancouver, where I think the population is a little bit better integrated today. But when it came to getting any brown-skinned people, we had to import them from Seattle. So there were not any black female stunt women. So our 50-year-old white Canadian stuntman had to put on a curly wig and some brown base on his face, and he was me. So that's when I was like, oh, I'm going to be doing my own stunts from now on. I could not see that man running in that jacket with all the jewels and the big wig and the bad, brown person makeup. It just wasn't going to happen.
6:45 a.m. reported to Jump Street headquarters for roll call.
We're in the 80s, right? And I don't know if you've noticed, but, a lot of the 70s looks have come back, the 50s, 60s, even the 90s are back. But the 80s never quite came back on the fashion scene. And there was a reason for that. I just think it was just all in all a kind of a scary decade for fashion. And then hair was just extremely big, lots of spray. I was telling my girlfriend that the other day that she was like, why was your hair so big and crazy? I said, well, this really sweet lady that did my hair in Vancouver, I mean, I think I was the first black person that she ever met, let alone did her hair. So, I mean, there were a lot of issues with hair. I went through wigs. I cut it all off because I was sick of it. I mean, I did a million things. But to this day, I know that if you do a show in the 80s, that big hair will follow you around till you're 80. and I catch a lot of stuff over that hair. But it's fun. But it is an era that bad hair was prevalent. Music was very, very important to me, and it was Jump Street and other shows that I'd done before that. This was all supposed to be in an effort to make money, to make a demo, to get a record deal, and all that stuff. And so Patrick Hasberg knew that I sang, and he told me, he said, "Listen, we're trying to figure out this theme song, and I got a couple ideas." And he just came to me and said, "Would you like to sing it?" And I was just overjoyed. So we sang about 5 different ones, and we demoed a bunch of them, and then we ended up with the one that actually, we went back and I think recut it a little bit, like second or third season. But originally, when we went in and then the guys sang the jump part, the jump, that was Peter and Johnny. And they came in and sang that, and it was a fun experience too.
Do you mind if I sit here?
No, go ahead.
Oh, this is a great library. The one over at Jefferson's only half the size.
You get transfer.
Yeah, it's my first day. I'm Judy Morris.
Lauren Carson. I transferred in last semester. It's pretty cool here. When you have that kind of character that is so approachable on a show, everybody wants to come up to you and talk to you. And I remember being in a bathroom at the Hard Rock Cafe, and there was a girl in the stall next to me, and she was telling her girlfriend, who they had come in while I was in the stall, that I was there, and I was in the restaurant, and she was going to get some toilet paper and have me sign an autograph and the whole thing. And then I just, while I was in the bathroom, I just signed it, and I just slipped it under the stall. I figured, it would get me more time out there to eat, so... But then she started talking to me and leaning against the wall, and I felt like I was, it was like a confessional, She was like, Judy, I've had some drug problems I'm trying to get over. And so I just had to politely tell her, well, my name is Holly, and I'm not Judy, but, I do know some, hotline numbers. Because that's one thing that we did a lot. We did a lot of 800 numbers, and, we had a lot of shows that were designed to help people with issues. So the best part about doing 21 Jump Street was, especially in the first season, that we all had a sense of, we were doing something together, and we were having the same experience. No one knew who any of us were, so, to be on our own in Canada, we made friends together, we made friends on the crew together, we did a lot of things together. We used to rent boats and take it into the Puget Sound, and we would, have picnics. I mean, seriously, the first year was like one giant summer camp.
Hey. Hold up. Not bad. How come I never met you?
'Cause you were too busy getting punched out by the principal.
I still would have heard.
Oh, yeah? Well, I heard about it way over at Jefferson. I just transferred in.
Hey, Reggie. Another new student, man. Come on, we better go check her out.
No. I'll shake it down myself. Check out her bag.
Let me know if you find something you like.
Some of the shows right now really still hold up. And in syndication, they play very well. If it weren't for that 80s hair, I'm telling you, people would think it was happening right in 2004. But the hair gives it away.